Two pieces of news dropped this week that directly affect every person receiving Social Security in America. The first came out Monday, June 9th. The second came out Thursday, June 13th. Both received almost no meaningful mainstream coverage. Together, they paint the clearest picture yet of where Social Security is heading and exactly what that means for your monthly check, not in some abstract future, but in real dollars, starting now. The first piece of news involves a date that just moved closer. The second involves your 2027 check and a number that sounds like good news until you understand what is driving it. By the end of this video, you will understand both completely what they mean for your specific situation and exactly what to do about each one before July arrives. Subscribe to this channel right now and turn on the bell. I track every major Social Security and Medicare development the moment it drops, and I break it down in plain language before the deadlines pass and before the decisions are already made. The people subscribed here understood both of these stories before July. Subscribe now and let us get into them. Drop a comment right now telling me your state and whether you are currently receiving Social Security benefits. The state you live in and whether you have already claimed will determine which parts of what I am about to cover apply most directly to your situation. Drop it below and let us get into the news. The first piece of news is the 2026 Social Security Trustees Report released Monday, June 9th. Every year, the Treasury Department and the Social Security Administration jointly publish this report, an official government document that examines the financial health of the system and projects how long the trust fund reserves will last. This year's report contains a number that every Social Security recipient in America needs to know and that most will never hear explained clearly. That number is 2032. That is the year the primary Social Security retirement fund, officially called the OASI Trust Fund, is now projected to run out of reserves. In last year's report, the projected depletion date was the first quarter of 2033. This year, it moved to the fourth quarter of 2032, 1 quarter earlier. The second consecutive year, the date has moved in the wrong direction. Before I explain what 2032 means in practice, let me explain why the date moved. The One Big Beautiful Bill signed into law in 2025 included provisions that reduced the income tax that Social Security recipients pay on their benefits. For current recipients, that change means more of your monthly benefit stays in your pocket rather than flowing back to the federal government. In the short term, that helps you. But those taxes returning through the system are part of how the trust fund is replenished. Less tax on benefits means less money returning to the reserve, which accelerates the timeline to depletion. The same legislation that put more money in seniors' pockets in the short term moved the depletion date closer in the long term. Both things are true simultaneously, and understanding that trade-off is how you evaluate every conversation about Social Security policy between now and 2032. Now, here is what 2032 actually means, and this is the part that almost every news segment gets wrong by being vague. The trust fund running out does not mean Social Security disappears. The system will still collect payroll taxes from every working American in this country. What it means is that those incoming payroll taxes alone are projected to cover only 78% of what beneficiaries are owed at that point. Which means if Congress does absolutely nothing between now and 2032, benefits will be automatically cut by 22% for every recipient, not just new claimants. Not just people above a certain income, not just people who claimed after a certain date. Every current recipient, regardless of age, regardless of health status, regardless of how long they have been collecting. The government does not need to pass a new law to cut your benefit by 22%. It needs to pass a law to prevent it. And it has been failing to do that for years while the depletion date moves steadily forward. 22% of the current average Social Security benefit is approximately $458 less every single month. For a recipient currently collecting $1,500, that is $330 gone. For a recipient collecting $2,000, that is $440 gone. For a recipient collecting $2,500, that is $550 gone every month, permanently, without appeal. That is the mathematically projected default outcome of the current path under current law. Drop a comment telling me what a 22% cut would mean specifically for your monthly budget. Not a general reaction, tell me the specific bill that would become unmanageable. Because that question is not hypothetical. It is the projected outcome of inaction, and the people in Congress who have been watching these depletion reports arrive year after year need to hear those specific answers. The Bipartisan Policy Center noted this week that the window for gradual, manageable reform is now officially under 7 years. The American Academy of Actuaries published a report within 24 hours of the trustees' report, confirming that the longer Congress delays action, the more disruptive the eventual solution will need to be. Every year without action narrows the range of solutions available and makes every option more painful for someone. The 4 approaches most commonly discussed are raising the full retirement age for future retirees, increasing the payroll tax rate on workers, raising or eliminating the income cap on Social Security taxes, or means testing benefits for higher income recipients. Every approach has political opposition powerful enough to have blocked action for years. What does this mean for you right now in June of 2026? If you are already receiving benefits, nothing changes in your check today, this month, or next year. The current benefit structure is fully funded through 2032 under current law. There is no immediate action required and no reason for alarm about your next deposit. What is required is that you understand the stakes clearly every time a politician discusses Social Security reform between now and that date. A 22% automatic cut is not a worst-case scenario. It is the mathematically projected default. Any plan that does not explain how the depletion date gets fixed is not a complete plan. If you have not yet claimed Social Security, the 2032 projection is now a legitimate factor in your claiming decision. Claiming earlier locks in your benefit at a level that does not depend on Congress finding a solution within 7 years. Waiting until 70 means higher monthly payments, but it also means more of your retirement income depends on political action happening on a schedule that has so far been consistently missed. Neither approach is clearly right for every situation. It depends on your health, your other income sources, and your honest assessment of what the current Congress will actually accomplish. But you deserve to be making that decision with accurate information, and that is exactly what this report provides. The second piece of news came out Thursday, June 13th, based on May inflation data released by the Bureau of Labor Statistics. This one affects your 2027 check, and it cuts in 2 directions simultaneously. Every year, the Social Security Administration announces the next year's cost of living adjustment in October. That adjustment is calculated using the CPI-W, the Consumer Price Index for urban wage earners, measured specifically during July, August, and September. The official 2027 COLA will not be announced until October. But independent analysts track the monthly data as it comes in and publish early estimates throughout the year, so recipients can see the direction before the official number lands. This week, those estimates moved significantly upward. As of May 2026, the CPI-W is running at 4.4% year over year, the highest reading in 3 years. The primary driver is energy costs. Gasoline and utility prices are up sharply due to ongoing geopolitical pressures, and food prices continue to climb faster than the headline inflation numbers suggest. Mary Johnson, an independent Social Security and Medicare policy analyst who has tracked COLA calculations for decades, updated her estimate Thursday to 4.7%. The Senior Citizens League, a nonpartisan senior advocacy organization, is currently projecting 3.8%. The official number will land somewhere in that range depending on how July, August, and September data develops. To understand what those estimates mean in real dollars, the 2026 COLA was 2.8%, which added approximately $56 to the average monthly benefit. A 4.7% COLA in 2027 would add approximately $98 to the average monthly benefit, nearly double this year's dollar increase. On a benefit of $2,500, that is $117 more per month. On a benefit of $1,500, that is $70 more per month. On a benefit of $1,000, that is $47 more per month. That sounds straightforwardly like good news. Here is why it is not completely good news, and this is the most important nuance in the entire second story. A higher COLA means inflation has been running faster. The $56, the average benefit increased in January, covered approximately 60% of what it actually cost to maintain the same purchasing power as the prior year. At current May inflation levels, analysts estimate it takes approximately $94 more per month to buy what you could buy a year ago. The check went up $56. The cost of being alive went up $94. The gap between those two numbers is what has been quietly reducing seniors' purchasing power every single month despite annual adjustments. A 4.7% COLA in 2027 will deliver a larger dollar amount, but it will arrive in an environment where grocery prices, utility costs, and medical expenses have been consistently outrunning what any standard adjustment can fully offset. According to a survey released this week by the Senior Citizens League, 44% of retirees, 24.8 million Americans, now depend on Social Security for 100% of their income. That number was 39% just 1 year ago. For those 24.8 million people, the gap between what the COLA covers and what inflation actually costs is not an economic nuance. It is the difference between paying rent and not paying rent. Between filling a prescription and skipping a dose. Drop a comment telling me whether your actual monthly costs have gone up more or less than the amount your check increased in January. Not the official inflation rate, your personal number. Tell me which direction and by roughly how much. That answer tells me exactly what this community is experiencing on the ground versus what the national headline numbers suggest. Here is exactly what to do with both pieces of news from this week. On the trustees report, continue receiving your benefit as normal. Nothing changes before 2032. But carry the 22% number with you into every conversation about Social Security reform between now and that date. Any politician discussing Social Security who does not explain how the depletion timeline gets resolved is not giving you the complete picture. The automatic cut is the default. The burden is on the solution to be specific. If you are approaching your claiming decision in the next several years, schedule a conversation with a financial advisor or contact the Social Security Administration directly at 1-800-772-1213 and ask for a personalized benefit estimate at different claiming ages. Factor the 2032 projection into that conversation as a real variable, not a hypothetical. On the COLA News Watch for the official 2027 COLA announcement in October, the July, August, and September CPIW data will determine the final number. Do not make any significant financial decisions based on an estimate that still has 5 months of data to incorporate. If the current inflation trend holds, the adjustment will be meaningfully larger than this year's. If energy prices stabilize, the number could come in lower. October is when you plan from a real number. What you can do right now is calculate your personal inflation rate. Compare your actual monthly grocery bill, utility costs, insurance premiums, and prescription costs today against what you were paying in January of 2025. That comparison gives you your real number, the number that matters for your specific household budget. And your personal inflation rate is the only number that tells you honestly whether the system is keeping pace with your actual life. The two pieces of news from this week are not unrelated. The same inflation driving COLA estimates upward is also affecting how quickly any benefit cut would hit purchasing power that is already under pressure. Both stories point to the same underlying reality. Social Security is not broken. It is strained. The depletion date is a solvable problem. But the window to solve it gradually and manageably is now officially under 7 years, and every year without action makes the eventual solution more disruptive for more people. Subscribe. Share this with someone who receives Social Security and has not yet heard either of these stories this week. Because the 30-second segment that covered the trustees report did not give them the 22% number, and the 30 seconds they spent on the COLA estimate did not give them the purchasing power gap. This channel exists to give them both. I will see you in the next one.